Hello there, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my great short stories series, we're going to be completing and discussing our short story, Sredni Vashtar. Oh, I have such a difficult time saying that word. Uh, Sredni Vashtar by Saki. In this classic short story by a classic short story author, we've already read, but we're going to summarize the story, and we're going to work on some of the difficult vocabulary. But this is such a short story, a short story, that even though the difficult vocabulary is there, I think that it doesn't greatly get in your way, and it's really a worthwhile read because it's a story that you can do a lot with. So we'll be talking about vocabulary and what to do with it in just a minute. First, a little bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so I can keep the classroom nice and quiet. Tune in to the new words you're learning when you are speaking. Use them actively so they can correct you. Finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And that is a little bit about me. Let's say hello to you. Hello, you. How are you?
Hello, me.
How are you today, Daniel?
I'm still with my cold.
You have a cold?
Yeah.
I have a cold.
Like
I have
you.
a cold which begins in November and it
Yeah, yeah,
ends
yeah.
in about February.
I
That's
know.
how it works with me. And it's
You need to live in Caribbean Sea, maybe.
yeah, I guess. By the way, do the houses in Salamanca have heat?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because they don't in Portugal.
Um, we have 20 Celsius all day.
But do you have heating inside the house when it gets cold?
Yes.
You have
Heating, yes.
you have like radiators with water in them, or
Yes, yes. And gas.
I guess it's because
Water.
you're
Uh,
farther
uh,
north than I am.
it's necessary to have a heating in Salamanca, in the north of Spain in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're a lot farther north than I am, because down here, most of the buildings don't have any heat unless it's like a government building or something, or I don't know. And I can't understand it because it gets cold.
Here we have -5.
Oh, okay. It gets really cold there. So,
Yes.
because it doesn't snow here.
No.
It snowed one time for about 10 minutes in 2004, I think. It took about 10 minutes, and it didn't last. It didn't even collect on the ground. But for about 10 minutes in 2004, it snowed one day. But still, it, if you're, it's cold. They should have some kind of heat. Well, here's what I was going to do with the story, Daniel. Because the story is a little bit difficult because it's old.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Um, what I was going to do is it's read it, just me, because I can do it really fast. If there's no new students in the class, maybe we can skip that. I don't know, because I figured a lot of people wouldn't have read it if they're new. So we'll see. If it's just the 2 of you, then maybe we can skip that and go right into the discussion. But let's give people a minute or two, and I want to just jump down to these tools that I added and show you what to do with those. So look at this on page 7. How to use tools with the story. Here's my idea.
Mm-hmm.
My idea is let's use technology to make the story more interactive. I suggest we do two things. First, up here, my suggestion is annotate the text. That means take notes on the text, and you can do that with this procedure. In fact, I'll do it. In fact, no, I want you to do it. I want you to try it just to show you how it works. Now, this might not work, but let's try it as an experiment. So, you can read the text, reread it, and add definitions. So, here's how it works. Look up the word, look up and link a definition to a word. So, I want you to try it. Let's see. So, Yuki and Daniel, I want you to click on a word in that little blurb of text here. And you're going to do, I'll do it first. I'm going to click on the word definition.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Omar, I'm going to read a short story. If you haven't read it, I'll read it to you because it's super short. But before we begin, I'm going to go over one way we can participate in the class. Okay, so just so you know what we're doing. I right click, I click on the menu that says research. The little research menu opens, and you can see definition at the top. Now, I like to go to a specific site. So I go to site:vocabulary.com. You don't have to use that, but that's what I use. And that means it'll search for the definition only in vocabulary.com. And then I just have to insert the link by clicking on this middle button, insert link. Okay, so if you want to try it, you go right ahead and do it now. I'm going to try this again because I clicked on the wrong word, research. And I'll show you what happens. Okay, I click insert link, and then I close it, and now there's a blue link on that word, and as you're reading, you can easily, without interrupting the class, it'll open in a new tab. It will take a second, and then you'll see a definition in a good website. So there you go. A good definition explains concisely what something means, and you go down and you have all kinds of examples and synonyms. Synonyms and antonyms. So, do you want to try that just so that I can see that it works on your end? So, click on a word, any word, right click, click on research, and see if you can add the link. You have to double click on research, double click, so that it's highlighted. Okay, right click, click on the research menu, and then when you find the definition, you click on the link that says insert link, I think it is, and then it'll turn blue when you do that. Do you see that?
No.
No? Okay, look at the menu, look at the window for a second.
It's a word.
So I clicked on the word word.
Yeah.
If I want to go to a specific dictionary, I have to write site, S-I-T-E, colon, and then the URL. So I'm going to use site, vocabulary.com. That's my dictionary. And when I put my cursor over the definition, I get three options: preview, insert link, and cite. And I click on insert link, and then I'll create a link for that word. Can you try that too, Daniel?
Yeah.
See if it works.
Insert link.
Yeah, see if it works.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, so now I'm going to click on your link, and let's see what happens. Looks like it's working. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Excellent. That's it. Very good. So that's one way that you can all participate really quickly. And look, you've got a little note there. Daniel Carell, added link, blah, blah, blah. The second idea to have people use technology is this one here. You can add your own questions and comments as you read. Same process. Click on the word, right-click to select comment. So, Yuki, you try this one. I want you to double-click on the word comment, Yuki.
Yes.
So 2 times, click on the word comment, so it's highlighted.
In my document, it doesn't work.
You're not able to
Yeah.
double-click on words? No?
I think
You must click the link in Berlin chat
Click the link in the verbing chat? Why? What's the difference?
for
I-
Yukino.
Oh,
I
yeah?
could
Because
open the
maybe
document.
he opened the previous link.
No.
Which,
I opened a new link,
Yeah?
but blue underlined word.
Doesn't open?
Yes, it doesn't open.
Okay, let's
But
try
it
something,
doesn't matter. Yeah,
but let's try something different, Yuki.
I have my own dictionary, so it
Yeah,
doesn't.
but that's okay. That's okay. I want to try a slightly different thing really quickly. Go to the word comment in number 2. Let's double click on the word comment, Yuki. Click.
Hmm.
Or it doesn't really matter what word you choose. I'm just selecting that. Double click on a word in the text on the page here. Double click on the word, any word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see you double clicking on anything because it's got a highlight. So which word did you choose?
Only under the word, only address is displayed. So
Wait a second. Wait. First, double click on a word, any word, on the screen.
Yeah.
I don't see you. How come you're not? I don't see you. Which word did you click on? Nothing?
Yes, it works, but
But Yuki, wait. Please try it. I just want to see if it works. Double click on a word for me, please. Any word. Doesn't matter which.
when I double clicked under the word, there is the link is displayed. When
Excellent.
I click the link, another window open and the definition of the word is displayed.
Right. So I want you to double click on the word double, and then you're going to click on comment. Okay? And then when the comment comes up, I want you to write any text you want. I just want to see that you're able to add a comment. And then click return or whatever. So Daniel was able to do it. Ah, that was you, Daniel. I thought it was Yuki. So, do you see what Daniel just did, Yuki, on the very top where it says, "I really like to have a double"?
But to be honest, I don't like this function. It is very annoying. It takes time to look up the dictionary.
I'm not asking you to look anything up. I'm asking.
I think Google Dictionary is more useful.
Right. But I'm not asking you to look anything up. What I'm asking you to do is to comment. And if you go up here, I'll give you an example. So, I put comprehension questions in comments like this. But what I'd like all of you to do is to know how to do it yourself as we read. So, if it's too complicated, we won't, but I wanted to try it as an experiment. And that way, I know what's difficult for you, because the problem is if we have a lot of people in the class, obviously today we don't, but if we do, there's no way that I can see what everyone understands and what they don't. So the great thing would be to put your questions as we read on the sidebar, and we can then make sure that everyone gets I can comment on everyone's questions and make sure that they're clear and things like that. I can do some of it myself, but I know that some people don't really get to get their questions answered. Anyway, so, but I'm not asking you to look up words.
Okay.
So, two ideas here. One, you can look up words, and so that if there's a word that I missed, you can add it. And the other, I'll get rid of the highlights. The second part here is for you to add your own questions and commentary so that if we use the chat window, sometimes I don't see it and it disappears. We lose it. This way, nothing is lost in the story. At least that's my idea. So, let's move on. Since it's just the two of you, we're not going to reread it because I think you both know the story pretty well. First of all, it's difficult, a lot of old vocabulary. So, how difficult was it to follow the story? Very difficult, or was it okay?
Very difficult.
Very difficult.
It's quite difficult, but I could read. It took time, but I read it after the class for myself with looking up dictionary. I could read all the text, so now I understand.
So, I thought the story was okay because it was so short that even though the language is difficult, you'll still get a lot out of it. This story to me seems like it's very long, but it's only like 2.5 pages. I mean, if you look at the actual text, maybe 3 pages, but it feels very long to me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
and it stays with me too. It's kind of a haunting story. So I added a few questions there. We don't have to stick to these if you don't want to, but hopefully you had a chance to think about the story. So the first question I have for all of you is the point of view. Saki is a famous short story writer, one of the great short story writers. So he knows how to manipulate a text, and this was a very early short story. Like, short stories had just sort of been invented. Edgar Allan Poe was kind of the famous short story writer creating a genre for short stories. So this is not too far after Edgar Allan Poe. So my first question is, whose point of view does Saki, the author, take?
With that favorite, author's view is set on the Conradin's eyes. Yeah.
So through his eyes, yeah.
Through his eyes.
So too. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk a lot about point of view, but I don't know. What do you think? Is that what does that do for us, seeing the world through his eyes? It's not completely first person, is it? We don't hear I think I saw.
Through his eyes, readers can feel same feeling what Condé feels.
What Conrad.
So there is such effect. So.
Well, let's talk about what he feels. So, my first question about point of view is, what is the point of view towards the cousin? How does he feel about his cousin? Obviously, this is the big tension in the story.
He's very depressed, especially with relationship to his cousin, and guardian, Mrs. Derope. He has disease, and also and in addition, Mrs. Derope not allow him to do what he want to do.
Doesn't allow him. Doesn't allow him.
Doesn't allow him to do anything he want to do. So he would succumb to the pressure of everyday life, living with his cousin. So such a depressing feeling is very conveyed to readers through his eyes, through Coralline's eyes.
Okay, so I'm going to add one answer to question number 3. As you mentioned, he's sick. That's important to know. He's not just a normal kid. He's got some kind of illness. Daniel, did you pick up how sick he was? How sick is Conradin?
How?
How sick is he?
Very sick because the doctor said he would live in a short term, no?
Yeah, he wouldn't. I think the line was he wouldn't live 5 more years or something like that.
Yeah.
So
he would not live another
it's
5
really
years.
sick.
Yeah. So we call that a terminal illness.
Almost terminal.
There you go. So I'll add a few little notes there on the side to that one. All right. Daniel, can you summarize the story in 5 sentences or less? What actually happened? In 5 sentences or less. Keep it super short. What happened?
Okay. There's a really sick boy living with his guardian.
Right?
In this case, is his cousin.
Okay. Sentence 1 is done. 4 left.
The relationship between them is hate and love.
A love-hate relationship, we say. Love-hate.
Yes. Suddenly, in this story, appear an animal.
Suddenly in the story, an animal appears.
A ferret.
Mm-hmm.
And
You've got 2 sentences left. Okay, good.
The Conradin world from since this moment is to the ferret is like his god.
So he worships the ferret.
Sorry?
He worships the ferret.
He worships the ferret, yes.
Okay. 1 sentence left. So far, so good. So you said there's a sick boy. He has a love-hate relationship with his cousin, who's his guardian. One day, an animal appears. It's a ferret. He worships the ferret like a god. And now you got to summarize the ending of the story with the last sentence, Daniel.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember because I don't read the end of the story.
You didn't read the ending of the story?
I tried yesterday night, but it was very hard.
Wait a second. Didn't we read it in class on Tuesday? No?
We ended the story on Wednesday. Tuesday. I can't
Tuesday.
Remember.
I'm
really sick.
It might not have been clear, but look, I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to show you. He says this spell, this incantation, right? And what happens after, Yuki, do you remember what happens after he says the spell at the end of the story?
After he chanted, chanted, yeah, right?
Oh, well, yeah, I said the spell.
After he said the spell, something unexpected, something extraordinary have happened. Mrs. Dead Drop has disappeared. uh, she tried to kill the ferret. Karian has worshipped in the shed, in the
The tool
warehouse.
shed, right? Yeah, tool shed.
In the tool shed, something happened, and Mrs. Deadrop didn't came back from this shed. And how houses workers in house workers get got panicked, and now Coraline have feel freed, and he feel he's happy without Mrs. Derop in this world. Such an ending.
Let me add one thing to that. Let me add one thing. His cousin, Ms. DeRope, goes into the tool shed. Conrad can see it through the window, if I remember right.
Yes.
No, she doesn't come back. But the ferret comes out.
Yes.
So she goes in.
Ferrets have survived.
Exactly.
Instead of Mrs. Derop have died, maybe.
That's right. So the ferret comes out, and there's a line here. Look, this part right here in the second to last paragraph. And presently his eyes were rewarded. He's looking at the tool shed. Out through the doorway came a long, low, yellow-brown beast with eyes a-blink at the waning daylight. So the ferret, its eyes are adjusting to the daylight because it's dark in the tool shed. And the dark, wet stains around the fur of the jaws. Why do you think there's dark, wet stains around the fur of his jaws? Stained with what? Was he drinking water?
Blood, maybe.
He was drinking blood. The dark, wet stains around the fur of the jaws and throat. Conrad dropped to his knees. The great polecat ferret made its way down to a small brook. A brook is like a little river. Made his way to a brook at the foot of the garden, drank for a moment, then crossed a little plank bridge and was lost into the bushes. Such was the passing of Sredni Vashtar. So Mrs. DeRope goes in, the ferret comes out, and the maid, the housekeeper, where is the mistress? She went down to the shed some time ago, said Conrad, and he's like laughing to himself, right? And then they all rush out to, not Conrad, the housekeepers, the staff, rush out to the tool shed, and you see the very last line. Whoever will break it to the poor child? I couldn't for the life of me, exclaimed a shrill voice. So they're all panicking. And while they debated the matter among themselves, Conrad made himself another piece of toast.
Yeah, now he's free. He can eat his favorite toast.
Enjoying the murder.
Without restriction, yeah.
And that. So, here's a question. From his point of view, he said the incantation, and his god avenged all of the torture he had to suffer on Mrs. DeRope, in his point of view. We're allowed to hear Conrad's thoughts and feelings, right? Do you think that's what really happened? Because since we're looking through the point of view of the boy, and the boy is kind of young, I guess, I don't know, he's like 10? Is that what really happened? Is this a reliable narrator? I wonder if the author is trying to make us question reality. That's all I'm asking. Do you think he's trying to make us question reality? Maybe I'm reading into it too much. I don't know.
I think feeling is a kind of story of from Discovery Channel. So I think it rarely happens. Yes, it's an unbelievable story. But I understand the very strong desire of this boy to he just wants to be free. He from restriction, urged by his cousin. I think every children have such a feeling. Now Malala received a Nobel Prize. Yeah, today she gave a speech. Yeah, she said every children have to be free. Yeah, have a right to children shouldn't be urged something. Yeah, urged urged to fight. Yeah, people, all children have a right to have education, such a kind of thing. So every children have to be free. Yeah,
Right.
should be free. So I think such a desire of author maybe reflect on this story.
Absolutely, and so you're talking about the girl in Afghanistan who was shot by the Taliban,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So she won a Nobel Prize today? That was today?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Today there is a ceremony of giving prize in Oslo, in
In
Norway.
Oslo.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So does that mean that this is a universal idea, that all children want to be free, and the author is picking up on this idea? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it is kind of bullying. Yeah.
Bullying, yes.
So this boy has a long time has been bullied by his cousin. In spite of his heavy deeds, he in addition he had to be endure of bullying by her. So it's a very heavy. It's a very tough thing for him.
Yeah, I suppose at the turn of the century, bullying was not exactly a topic that would come up. This is maybe this is the first bullying story that we get. We have a lot of, I mean, now it's in fashion, and it's something that can be talked about, and it's a big deal. When I was a kid, it was not a big deal. 100 years ago, it was unthinkable, right? You don't talk about that. Kids should keep their mouth shut and do what they're told. So that might be a really good point. Maybe this is the
This
first
story by Saki written long time ago.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a kind of post-Victorian story, so I don't remember the year. I can look it up. I don't remember exactly, but early 20th century, I think, late 19th century. I think it's early 20th century, if I remember right. I don't know that much about his biography. I do know one thing, that this has a certain autobiographical element to it. I know that he was very sick as a child, and there's probably a lot of similarities to how he felt growing up and the child in the story. So I know that part. It's true. But it doesn't matter what happened in reality. What matters is the story itself. So, look, we're allowed to hear his thoughts and feelings. So I gave an example there. He saw the woman enter, his cousin, and then, whoops, I should say he, and then he imagined her opening the door of the sacred hutch and peering down with her short-sighted eyes. And I think this is when she was, I don't remember if this is when she was looking at the ferret or the hen. Oh, don't forget, she first did something to the hen, and as a way to provoke him, right? She's taking away, remember he lavished affection on the hen, and then she like took it away, I think it was. And then she's going after the ferret. But this time, he has something in store for her, right? Because she's hurt him one time. So I don't remember if that description was the hen or the ferret. But my question is, how would the story have been different if narrated in the first person, right? So it's the third person here, and if we look at it in the story, you can see it up here. Conrad shut his lips tight. The woman ransacked his bedroom till she found a hidden key, and she marched down to the shed to complete her discovery. It was she wants to know what he's doing in the shed, in the tool shed. It was late afternoon. Conrad had been bidden, that means told not to, forbidden, to keep, he'd been told to stay in the house. But from the window of the dining room, he could see the shed and the corner shrubbery. There, Conrad stationed himself. There we go. Here's the sentence. He saw the woman enter. He imagined her opening the door of the sacred hutch and peering down with her short-sighted eyes into a thick straw bed where his God lay. Perhaps she would prod at the straw in her clumsy impatience, and Conrad fervently breathed his prayer for the last time. Oh, this is when she's going after the ferret. Perhaps she would, okay, but he knew as he prayed that he did not believe. He knew that the woman would come out presently, and with that pursed smile he loathed so well on her face, and that in an hour or two the gardener would carry away his wonderful God, a God no longer. So he's imagining what's happening in the shed, and he's imagining that she's going to poke the ferret and then see that he's going in there for a reason, see the thing that he likes, and take it away from him. How do you think this would have been different if it was in the first person? The story could have been written in the first person, but it wasn't. Would it have changed the story?
It would have sound more objective if it is written. It was written by third person. We feel we would have feel. We would have felt more objective.
In the first person?
Yeah. From boys' eye, from boys' point of view, we would have been more distance, have a more distance from a boy's point of view.
So how do you think that sentence would be in the first person?
He saw.
He or I?
First person.
First person. First person is I.
No, he first person. I saw my cousin enter, and then I imagined. Sorry, I mistaken. Yeah, I saw the cousin enter. And then I imagined her opening the door of sacred hutch and peering down with her short-sighted eyes.
Absolutely. So that would be the first person. Now, is that the voice of Conradin? Do you think he would say it like that, or would we get to hear something different? Because there's a few places where we get to hear Conradin's voice. Like, let me see if I can find a good example. Especially in the beginning. Let me see if I can find a really good example of Conradin's voice. For example, okay. This is maybe not the best example. Okay, this one. Yeah, this is like this here. Okay, it's the third person, but maybe we get to hear a little bit of his voice because he says, maybe not. I was going to say this part about her going to church as an alien rite in the house of Rimmon. And every Thursday there was a... Yeah, no, that's not it. Okay, that's a bad example. hold on a second. I don't have a good example right now. Yeah, this is a good example, right in the beginning. Okay.
Maybe
Maybe
first
this is good.
sentence. Yeah.
We get. Well, I would go for. Yeah, maybe the second sentence. The doctor was silky in the feet and counted for little. To me, that's not an objective narration, really. It sounds like Conradin's thoughts. Like we get to feel what he feels, even though it's not I, because the doctor counted for little. But his opinion was endorsed, the doctor's opinion was endorsed by Mrs. DeRope, who counted for nearly everything. You get the feeling right away that everything she says, that's the law. She counted for everything. Mrs. DeRope was Conrad's cousin and guardian, and in his eyes, she represented those 3/5 of the world that are necessary and disagreeable and real. The other 2/5, in perpetual antagonism to the foregoing, were summed up in himself and his imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So this 3/5 and 2/5, it sounds very precise, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can the world really be divided up in such precise terms? You know, I think it's there to give us this sense of childhood mathematics, and also I think it's a little ironic. So I get the feeling that that's Conradin's voice. We're getting some of his kind of this depressed sarcasm, If he were alive today, maybe if he were growing up when I was growing up, he'd be listening to the Smiths. He'd be really depressed all the time. He'd be wearing black.
So here also described how this boy was feeling every day. If it as if also appearing into his mind. Yeah.
Yeah, we say third person with the feeling of the first, when you peer into the mind of the character. Third person with a first person feel. So third person is omniscient. Third person omniscient. And but we will say third person but with a first person feel, meaning that you can look into the mind of the character, or that some quality. So, Daniel, remember that line we just looked at a second ago? The one in green here? Whoops, sorry. This one here? Uh-oh. Daniel succumbed to his cold. Oh, there he is. Oh, okay. So, this is third person. Yuki gave us the first person, what Conrad might have said. How do you think that line would be different if it was first person, but from the woman's point of view? How do you think that line would have changed? So remember, we're comparing Mrs. DeRope to what Harry Potter character?
Yeah.
Which Harry Potter character was she?
Dolores.
Right. How would Dolores have said that line if it was in the first person?
Mm-hmm.
It's first person with I or with he? I or she? I. So what do you think she would have said if that was first person, Daniel?
I entered.
Entered.
I entered. And I opened the door of the sacred hut.
She doesn't know it's a sacred hutch, though, does she?
Okay. I opened the door of the hutch.
How would she describe the hutch? Would she like it?
No, it's I opened the door of the nasty hutch.
Exactly, the nasty, dirty little hutch.
And I saw. At a short sight.
So short-sighted means she has to wear glasses. She has to get up really close.
Hmm.
So maybe she'd say,
And I made a sight, or I saw
I saw, I,
into the thick straw.
I leaned in really close to look at the thick straw. She's like blind, you know. I leaned in really close to get a good look. And what do you think she would say when she saw the ferret?
Surprise and disgusting.
Yeah. So she would say, I saw a disgusting little brown animal. Was it a rat? So, how would the story have been different if it was narrated by Mrs. DeRope, Ms. DeRope?
And
Would it
more a story
more
from
realistic?
more realistic from the point of view of uh, a woman, maybe very different of point of view of the magical world of
Ah,
the the Conradin mind, maybe.
yeah. So all that magic,
She doesn't see a god. She show a nasty
exactly. Beast.
beast.
Okay, that's a good point about the magic. That's a good point. All that magic would have been gone. Absolutely. Um, Adi, when you were reading this story, did anything stand out as magical? I know the vocabulary is difficult, but can you think of some examples of the magic that Daniel was talking about?
No,
No! Oh my God.
no, because I haven't read it.
You didn't read the story?
I don't read except in the class.
Ah.
Sorry.
Well, was there magic in the story, Adi?
I
Was anything magical?
Yes,
What do you recall?
yes.
Give me one example
Mm,
what do you remember? One example of something that shows that it's really from the child's point of view, not from the adult's point of view.
mm, what I remember. Oh, yeah.
Well, you remember the ferret, right?
Yes, I remember the parrot. Uh, yes, I remember the parrot, the great parrot.
Was the ferret a regular pet, or was the ferret unusual?
Um, I think it's unusual parrot. That's why they give. Yeah, unusual.
Okay. Last question. How or why was the ferret unusual, from what you remember? Was it unusual in
Um,
itself, or was it unusual in the way Conrad looked at it?
it's as well what I've seen, what I have read.
Hmm.
Uh, because I haven't read the part two. It's because the Conrad thinks that it's from the point of view of Conrad.
Hmm. Okay. You've got to read part two.
Yeah, I will.
If you were in class a little earlier, we actually summed up part two. So
Yeah,
we talked about the ending a little bit. Long and short of the story. At the end of the story, Conradin says a prayer. He says a prayer to the ferret because he considers the ferret a personal god and he worships the ferret.
yeah,
After he says the prayer, his caretaker, Ms. DeRope, goes into the shed to take away his ferret when she discovers that there's a secret key that lets him into the shed. She goes to take away the ferret and she never comes out because the prayer is to get revenge. So instead of her coming out, the ferret comes out with what appears to be wet whiskers. We can only guess that it's blood. And later we hear the housekeeper screaming, uh, So we can imagine that something happened, and she says, how are we ever going to break the news to the boy? I can't tell him. She thinks Conrad is going to be upset when he finds out. We can only assume that his cousin, Mrs. DeRope, has been chewed to death by a ferret. The ferret escapes. Here's my question for you. Did that really happen? Here's my theory. Tell me what you think. What if the housekeeper is saying that she can't break the news that the ferret escaped, and that everything that's happening in Conrad's mind is just a fantasy? What do you think about that theory? All of you, what do you think? Bad theory?
I don't think so.
Why not, Yuki? Why not? Is there something in the text that makes you think that I'm wrong? Because I could read the story that way. I could. I mean, there's nothing. We don't know that she's dead. We don't really know it for sure. But tell me why you think I'm wrong.
But in the end of the story, apparently it indicate that the cousin has died. So that's why keep workers are very got a panic and
panicked. That's why they panicked.
Got panicked and
no
they
doubt, just panicked. That's why they panicked.
That's why keep workers panic. Housekeepers has panicked, and now they are anxious about the future of the boy. So,
okay, you might be right.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree they're panicking. But how do we know she died? Is there something specific in the text that says that she died?
Because there is because housekeeper say because housekeeper said I couldn't for the life for me. Yeah. So it means housekeeper worried that in future who take care of him. Yeah. So it apparently it means that now there is no cousins. Yeah. There's no guardians. Yeah. There is no guardian with the boy, so it means I suppose she was dead.
Right. It certainly implies that she's dead.
It certainly it implied the death of guardian. Yeah.
And also another thing, the shrill voice. So the shrill voice shows panic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see. Also, get a definition of shrill. Well, I'm gonna. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that the shrill voice?
I couldn't forward to die for me. Panic. Yeah.
I like you.
Panic attack. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let's see if we've got. Yeah. I'm going to insert a little definition.
Something terrible has happened. Yeah, it indicates she was died. And housewives saw they confirmed her death.
There you go. Shrill is a high-pitched sharp, like a squeak of a mouse. Right? So you can hear someone's panicky voice. Shrill. So, here's the thing. What if she died, but not because of the ferret? What if, bear with me, it's just a theory, what if she died because she saw the ferret, she wasn't expecting it, she stumbled, and she's in a tool shed, so she fell on a rake and it impaled her and she died? What I'm saying is, what if there's a non-supernatural reason? Okay, maybe she died, but maybe it's not because of his spell. But in his mind, he thinks that he killed her by all of the rituals that he's done with
Yeah.
the ferret. So
The boy believe that. Yeah.
the boy believes it, yeah, but I don't know if it's true. Just a theory. Just a theory. Because otherwise, this is like a ghost story. And I don't know. I think the amazing thing is that it's got different levels to it. It's a very sophisticated story for 3 pages. Could be a novel, actually. I think it has a lot of depth, and it's this. Just again, my opinion.
As
You can
if
all
I have read a long story. Yeah.
I get that feeling,
I
and
have
part
that
of it is because of this ambiguity. Did he kill her? Is the ferret really a god? Or is this all playing out in his imagination? Is she really dead? Well, I think you're making the point she probably is because of the panic. Probably is. But what if in the next scene, the panic is because, I don't know. We don't really know what happened. That's my point. I think that's the great strength of
Nobody
the
know.
story.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Nobody know what the real reason of her death. But we only know that maybe strong desire of boy to be freed um, um, cause a miracle, made a miracle. Yeah. So everywhere in this story, there is from everywhere in this story, I can feel strong desire of his boys, strong boys' desire to be freed. So. In the end of sense, readers can feel that something miracle have happened. It is a strong desire of his, the boy, and every children have a dream, have a desire, and every and only children maybe make a miracle, are able to realize their desire. I feel such a sense from writer of this story.
And on that note, we're going to have to stop.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry for what? I think it's a very good point.
I can't explain well. Sorry.
Well, I understood you. I mean, we've got to stop, but let's keep that in mind. I'm going to choose another story, a longer one, but another one that has the same macabre kind of theme to it. So we can compare these stories for next Tuesday. We can compare both of them. So let's think about the idea of children and miracles, and also we've got to stop. But think about my last question, number 9. I ask, is this a love story? What do we learn about love in the story? I think this is a kind of love story. So as we read the next story, which is not by Saki, maybe we can return to that question. But think about it over the weekend. If this is a love story, what do we learn about love? Okay, I've got to stop now and start the business class. I'll be back in about 30 seconds for that. But reread the story on your own, especially you, Adi. I'm going to test you next week.
Yeah.
Read the story. Okay. Bye for now, everyone. I'll be back in just a minute. Bye for now.
Bye for now.